Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Testa-Boston, the Deputy Director of the FIATech Consortium. And on behalf of all of us at FIATech, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. We have an exciting hour set aside to learn about what EcoDomus has been doing. But first, I want to go through quickly how to use the GoToMeeting system in the event this is your first time using it. You'll notice you have a toolbar on your screen that is unique to you. So if you want an unobstructed view of the presentation, you can click that orange arrow at the top left corner of it and minimize it off your screen. And if at any time you want to optimize it, you just click the orange arrow and it'll bring it back up. You all are on a default mute setting, so we do encourage you to ask questions. If you need further clarification on anything that you're hearing during the webinar, please use the questions tab on that toolbar to type those questions in. They will go directly to me. I will present those to our speaker today anonymously. I will not say who's asking or from what company they're asking the questions. And as time permits at the end of the hour, we will field those to Igor. Lastly, I just want to mention that we will be recording and posting a copy of this webinar in the FIATech Media Library at fiatech.org. Give us a couple of days to get that put together and packaged, and we'll have it up on the website for download. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce Igor Starkov. He's a computer scientist and entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in software development. He also has over 10 years of experience leveraging technology to improve construction project delivery and management of the built environment. Prior to co-founding EcoDomus, Mr. Starkov co-founded TAMU Solutions, which later was acquired by EcoDomus, and Latista Technologies, the leading provider of construction field administration software solutions. Mr. Starkov is a recipient of the FIATech SETI Award for 2010 in the Lifecycle Data Management category, and he's been profiled in ENR's magazine cover story in March 2011. He's conducted over 60 industry webinars presenting to groups of over 500 attendees, speaking on COBie and the application of BIM in facilities management, and we are very glad to have him here today to share with us the work he's doing. So, Igor, thank you very much, and let's get started.
Thank you, Nicole, and good morning, everyone. The topic today is facility lifecycle data management. This is what we got the award for. So I'm going to be giving you some theory, and we'll cover a couple of case studies. First, I wanted to give you the agenda. First, I will introduce the company. We will briefly discuss the topic of why owners need lifecycle BIM, not just the BIM for construction. And then we will turn to the construction and architects, GCs and architects, engineers. So why do they need to provide the good BIM data? What do they get out of it besides being paid by the owners? Then we will discuss the workflows for collecting the data for the life cycle. And one of the main standards for collecting the data and verifying it is called COBie, Construction Operations Building Information Exchange. So we will try to review what has been it originally, what's the status of COBie now. And then, as I mentioned, we will look into a couple of case studies. One is Texas A&M Health Science Center, one is NASA Langley Research Center. First, about the introduction of EcoDomus, we are a software consulting firm with headquarters in San Francisco. I'm based in Washington, D.C. We have representatives in Chicago, Texas, LA, and New York. Our focus main on the BIM and lean process for facility lifecycle data management. We mostly work with the owners, and we do work with GCs and architects as the conduits to deliver the information to the owners. Mostly it's large campus owners. We work with GSA in Region 3, Region 4, starting with a couple of other regions pretty soon. And USC was the first organization when we worked on the BIM for FM topic. UCSF, we did the Lean project. We work with one region at NASA, and a couple of others are on the way. So first, about the management team. A few of you have been involved with BIM. Know Mitch Borislavsky. He has been profiled extensively. The whole idea of EcoDomus was born when Mitch was working for George Lucas about 10 years ago, one of the first BIM projects in the country, and they delivered the facility to Lucas in 2005, I think, and so the group is touring the facility. It's a new building, and the sprinklers went off, and it took them 20-25 minutes just to find where the shut-off valve is. And Mitch said, well, that was crazy. I mean, we had it in BIM, so it's supposed to be intelligent model, and we didn't know where in the model is shut-off valve. So that got him thinking about that besides nice 3D and lots of money that they saved because of the clash detection that they did, it was independently verified it was like almost $80 million that they saved on the $400 million project. So they said, he started thinking about how we can start collecting the data properly and manage the data. And I was at the time at Latista, then founded TAMU to focus on lean processes, and that's where the idea of COBie got me interested. It was, I think, July 2008 when I attended the first COBie meeting in Washington, D.C. And later in the year, we started coding of the COBie interface within our software. And we got lucky because we got the first big COBie project with Texas A&M in March 2009. That's where it all started. So as I mentioned, when we approach different owners and we tell them, you know, here, this is the BIM, this is how it can help you, we hear different stories, and they tell us, oh, we would like to use BIM for FM. That's what our business use case is for using it. And sometimes we hear different stories. You know? So I will focus on the 6 different workflows that we are presented to by the owners. That's what they understand as BIM post-construction, as BIM for FM. You know, because I heard this BIM for FM short name in different places, but it all means different things to different people. So the most popular workflow is the related to maintenance work orders. And we got these numbers from Birgitta Foster from Sandia National Labs originally, and then obviously I wanted to verify that, you know, like average hours for work order, 5 hours, or time to spend information about specific asset is close to 2 hours. That's what she's provided. And so we asked another universities and owners. We got 2.3 hours from University of Michigan. We got almost 3 hours from Indian Health Service. We got some other, but and at the same time we also heard, oh no, there's no way the work order can be 5 hours. Replacing the glass or unclog the drain, it takes us less than an hour. And we said, yes, but what about the preventive maintenance that you guys do? And they're like, oh, we don't do preventive maintenance. We only fix, you know, broken things quickly. And so we said, well, you know, it may be not for you then. You probably first need to improve your FM practices and then look into this, because you're not basically not ready for this. So, and the 24,000 work orders that she gave for her 6 million square foot campus in Sandia, again, it's total number of work orders, from what I believe she said, it's 37,000. So 24,000 is what she considered are those ones that could have been providing the savings. So it's a simple arithmetic to see that if you provide opportunity to the work order manager, quickly find all of the information he needs or she needs about the asset, that there are savings in the millions just on the maintenance work order labor time. You know, if you can quickly jump and get that information. So what we provide is the ability to jump from the work order system, which is maybe your Maximo, TMA, Archibus, Tririga, or 27 other CMMS applications. Every application that does maintenance management, they have assets. So those assets can be linked to the building management, to these kind of system. So you can jump straight from that application to the asset here, and you view it in the virtual reality, and at the same time get all of the Metadata. What metadata means, it's these properties that you see on the right side here. This is something that is provided by the manufacturers or provided by the project team. This is the separate discussion. We can try to answer this later. And by the way, don't forget to submit your questions because I will be answering them after my presentation. So we can see this rooftop air handler. We can see its properties. We can see the documents that are attached to this object. So you can have your whole library of O&M manuals and test reports and the submittals, all of it available for you at your fingertips whenever you go, right? If it's a tablet PC, you don't even have an internet, it's offline, you can then synchronize it to the central web server, but you have ability to find information about any asset at any location wherever you are, and edit that information. The second workflow was related not as much about the properties or documents, but about how to find an asset quickly, and especially the asset that is not maintainable. For example, a lot of the equipment that you guys track in your Maximo or SAP EAM or whatever, they are not maintainable, so they are not put in the CMMS application. The shut-off valves or something like that, you don't do maintenance on that, usually. Sometimes you do, you know. So how to find it? So the thing is, if you model your BIM properly, all of this information can be quickly found using the systems approach or locations approach. In this case, let's say you selected the hot water system. It shows you all of the appropriate elements of that system. So you can quickly jump into that, see where it's located, right? And then utilizing some of the maybe GIS functionalities, you can see the shortest way, the shortest route to that specific valve from where you are located. And a very popular workflow is related right now to the energy systems analysis and energy efficiency, right? You have obviously the building controls. Most of the modern buildings are coming with the building automation systems, and you know, Honeywell's, JCI, Schneider Electric, Trane, whatever. So how do you even use BIM that will allow you to improve the way that you manage your building management system? Because building management system obviously provides you with you can put the nice 3D picture in there. You can even have the schema highlighted there. The issue is what we hear from those who have played with the BIM for energy efficiency is that you need to basically be there to learn how the specific units perform. For example, if you looked at this supply fan and you looked at the design intent data, let's say it says that it's supposed to run at 140 CFM, and actually the energy management system tells you that it's running at 120, maybe something is wrong, maybe I need to adjust it so I can adjust it later, but it's a part of the overall system. So if you change some values here, it may affect the fan in the next room, or it may not. So you can quickly review the whole system downstream. At the same time, pulling the data from the work order management system into the same view can help you understand that, oh, maybe what we need to do is change the air filters. We haven't changed that, you know, the past year or so. So this is kind of the visual dashboard into how assets are performing within your facility. So you can see what maybe, if your model is detailed enough, you can see maybe what kind of sensors are in there, where they are located. Because sometimes the sensor next to the door or the sensor next to the window will show you different values about the room performance, right? So if you just look at it as the sensor in the room 101, how do you know what the values really are? The visual work orders is what we see, and this probably is related to both new construction, existing buildings. Its ability to notify the CMMS application what specific assets, what specific asset is currently under review. Well, let's say you walk into the room and there are 27 lighting fixtures, and you want to replace just one of them. Obviously, it's going to be painful to figure out in CMMS which is the lamp that you are replacing. Here, you just highlighted every lamp has unique ID, so it will be properly assigned within your CMMS. if you track that item in CMS. If you don't track, at least it still will be verifying what item you are working on. So here what you can do is you can redline your graphical image. This image will be sent as an email attachment to the appropriate party that you assign the work order to, or a punch list, or a safety worksheet, or it may be also used for as-built verification. One of the popular problems in the field is that the shop drawings that are used by the MEP subs, for example, are given to the GC, and GC gives it to the owner saying, hey, here's my as-built. But this as-built is not field verified. And so sometimes you look at this fan, it's actually not here, but 3 feet down here, so it's actually another partition, so it may screw up your energy tracking system. So you need to visually verify your as-built, and approach like this can help you do it much better than what you could do otherwise. Visual inventorying is another workflow, and we got inspired by the case study that GSA did at the Kansas City Federal Building. They had a Maxima with about 1,000 records in that application, 1,000 different assets. And they built a BIM model for the same building. And they started saying, well, if we have the model, which is a visual representation of what is in the building, and we have the Maxima, which is our data about what is in the building, why don't we just compare the two? And they could map only 180 or less than 20% of the items. So whether there are issues, maybe some of the items were not modeled, or maybe it's difficult to identify the items, or maybe in your Maxima you have items that are not longer present in the facility. They're just hanging in there because people forgot to delete them, right? So, so what you have is, what we decided to build is we built the functionality so you can create BIM out of your 3D CAD by basically linking your geometry to your data set. This is actually essentially utility plant at the Texas A&M campus, where they had it modeled in AutoCAD 3D. It was before they started thinking about BIM. And this is the COBie data set collected for the project. So, so now we can link individual objects here to the in the picture to the data sets. So now, after you link them, you will see what is missing, what is assigned properly. So you have the now intelligent 3D model with the data attached to it. Another one is related to the equipment inspections. You have a lot of small items that are kind of important, like exit signs or panic boxes or fire sprinklers, fire extinguishers, etc. So inspecting them, it's a hassle because they're small, they're difficult to identify where they are, especially if they have issues, describing specific item where it's located, it's painful, or seeing where the items that gave you a warning are located. So that's where BIM can help. So if you walk into the room and you have a chiller pump that throws you some errors, you can see quickly which is the one that you need to pay attention to. And again, since each individual object in the BIM has a unique ID, you can create all your necessary work orders, or create your notifications about the problems or issues from there. So you can utilize the barcoding. If that barcoding that will automatically show you everything in the same in the model, or it can bring you the room data sheet for a specific space based on the barcoding. So there's a lot of things that can be done within the model that can improve your inspections. The way we see the picture, kind of a bird's eye view, is what we are trying to do is we are trying to provide the interface into the into the system that consists of multiple applications. So you have applications used for the design and construction, Autodesk Revit, Graphisoft ArchiCAD, Bentley Architecture, other packages. So they are used for the design. the the design intent kind of as design data. You have information about assets that are used for the maintenance, like packages like Maximo or TMA, Asset Works Famous. You have applications that are providing you with the real-time data or historical data about how those assets perform, whether individually or as a system, how the spaces perform or regions or zones. Your BAS, EMS applications. BAS stands for Building Automation System, and EMS, Energy Management System, is kind of a subset of BAS. You can utilize your GIS applications for many issues related with optimization of the space management, move management, the shortest paths, first responding, etc. And our goal is kind of maintain this all in sync. So if changes happen in one area of this multiple domain structure, that the other domains get notified about this. What happens typically is the following. Let's say you had the fan coil unit that you removed from your Maxima. Who knows about this change? Nobody except Maxima. You know, the model, the as-built model, has not been updated because they don't know what's changed. The BAS, because it needs to be recalibrated because there's no FCU now, so you need to put the sensor somehow differently. So our goal is kind of maintain that all consistently. So even though what the most talked about issue is, oh, how do I push my BIM data into a FEM, it's just a subset of the overall picture, to be honest. Yeah, it's important to collect the data properly and push it into the post-construction, but that's just the first step. That's just the beginning. The biggest picture is actually how to maintain it all live throughout the whole life cycle. So like 3 years down the road, so we could be sure that our as-built is up to date, even though it's been 3 years. 10 years down the road, we want to make sure that this as-built is up to date, that the Maximo has the same data, that the sensors are properly calibrated and placed in the appropriate places, that the system that is in the facility operates how it was supposed to be operating based on the original design. And this position is something that we see getting a lot of interest right now from AEs and GCs, lifecycle building support provider, because somebody now needs to take care of this structure, right? Who updates the model? Maybe it's the internal staff at the owner's location who is, capable enough to maintain it. For some large organizations, it's doable. For smaller organizations, they may decide to outsource it to, let's say, their architect. Or maybe it's a GC who maintains the model, because now GC becomes from the reactive kind of position, so they just respond to the calls from the owner. They now can be proactive. They can tell the owner, you know what, we just did a yearly review of your existing facilities remotely because we have the accurate model with what you have. And we see that the best changes what you can do is replace the windows on the 5th floor on the south side of the building, and you can replace your 800 kilowatt chiller with the 400 kilowatt chiller, because that's our, and you will pay it off within 4 years. Do you want us to do that? So this kind of project, it's something like what doctors now do when they get a new drug and they know that you were on the old drug. They say, well, you know what, the new one is much better, cheaper, better results. So they are proactive, and that's what and you basically are doctors of the facility. So now you can do that if you have enough medical history for that facility, right? So that is actually the holy grail, I would say, for the life cycle facility maintenance data. So why GCs need to get involved and make sure that this happens? That, by the way, is the School of Cinematic Arts at USC that we got involved. This is the main building. I will show you one of the smaller buildings later. Well, first of all, owners start to require it contractually. We speak to many large owners like Department of Veterans Affairs, Corps of Engineers, GSA, and large universities. They all ask about how do I make this happen, and it's all about contractual language, because if the language is very ambiguous and not detailed, you're not going to make it, because you don't know how to price it, right? If the owner says, please provide important documentation about critical assets. That doesn't say anything, because what is important, what is critical. They need to specify it by using some not ambiguous data like OmniClass numbers or specific types of documents. So that's one thing. You need to be prepared, because you will hear and you will see it more and more. If you're a GC, you will see it more and more contracts. The other reason is why contractors need it is because the process eliminates waste. You still need to collect the data. The way how you do it right now is not efficient. And you can improve the way how you manage your process on collecting the data if you create an optimized BIM execution plan that has all of the information about how you will collect the data, when the subs are providing the information. I'll give you an example. Let's say fan-powered boxes are installed in August. When do you get the data about those fan-powered boxes? The license, tag numbers and the model numbers. Is it as usual in December when the building is delivered, or you do it in August? Well, we suggest do it in August so you don't have the problems down the road. Competitive advantage. We obviously right now we are all in really a competitive environment, I would say, if not worse. And how do you just explain to the owner that you're better than the others? Well, you need to show them where the value is. And the lifecycle data value is enormous for the owner. They started to understand that. So if you can tell them how you can collect the data, how you can show it, how they can benefit from using it downstream, you have the advantage over the others. And as I mentioned before, it can be used for proactive facility support if you decide as a contractor to maintain the facility. Some say, yeah, we want to do that because over the next 10 years we will make more money on it than we made on the new construction, because the facility support margins are much, much higher than the new construction margins, especially when you're already linked to the owner. And for the future projects, obviously, for the repeated owners, you have much better relationship with the owner if you help them to get all of these new wonderful things. How to collect the data? Now let's talk about COBie a little bit. We've presented actually about COBie, I think, to FIATech maybe a year or two ago. I forgot. But this is the framework of, I explain it two ways. Instead of having multiple separate files, you now have one data set in which you populate the information. So you, instead of architectural schedules, contractors file with serial numbers, the commissioning test reports, and all of the different Excel files, and one big folder with tons of PDFs and not organized. Now you have a very slim and streamlined process of collecting the data as it's being provided, and it's all provided into the same data set. And at the end, you can take that data set and import it into the COBie compliant CMMS packages like TMA, AssetWorks, and a few others. So it's not Excel file as some think, oh, now I have to do it in Excel, or, oh, we already did it in Excel, it's just different columns. No, it's not. It's actually more about it's the same as saying, oh, BIM is like CAD, but with different software. So COBie is a different process. It requires people to collaborate more. It requires some requirements established that need to be tracked, validated. There are some rules about what data should be there. An example that all of the components, all of these specific assets should be linked to a specific space. So there should not be a VAV box that nobody knows what space it's assigned to. So there are some rules that you need to comply with, and organizations will establish the quality control milestones at which they check for these rules. For example, design is completed, here's the requirements, what we will check your model on. Construction completed, this is what we will check. Commissioning completed, this is what we will check. So that's the process of how it's supposed to be working. Obviously, there are a few COBie pilots right now across the country, and it's all over the board. Sometimes people do that without understanding what they're doing. So if it's COBie, it doesn't mean that it's all going to be beautiful and nice. It's how you implement it. It's the same way as it was with BIM 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, people were buying Revit and Navisworks and thought that, oh, it's going to be easy. So just to warn you. To implement COBie, what you need is as I mentioned, very well-planned process. And the same way as many of you know, there is a BIM execution plan. You need to have COBie execution plan, which is we call it implementation plan or whatever. It will specify in details what you need to have in terms of how BIM should be prepared for the FM usage, because there are obviously rules. Not every BIM model can be, easily presented. I mean, there may be a lot of garbage there that needs to be cleaned. What are the objects that we need to track? What are the documentation we need to track? How and when we check the quality of the data? Who provides the data? Who cleans it? And who populates the new information? How the submittals process is working? So all of that cleaning and scrubbing is the biggest portion of the process. What our goal was to simplify that process to make it as automated as possible using BIM. You can create COBie even without BIM. You can use it all manually. You can put a few people, and they will manually type it all in. It will be a beautiful data set, but it's going to cost you maybe several times more than it would be if you would use automated means to create that data. That's where BIM helps a lot. So actual exporting, importing data between the Revit or Maximo or ArchiCAD and TMA is just a small piece of the overall process. It's all about the cleaning and preparing the information. So couple of case studies. This is the Administrative Office 1, AOB 1 at NASA. Actually, I was there yesterday. It's almost finished. GSA acted as an owner's rep because NASA hasn't built anything for the past 25 years, so they hired GSA to help them build it. It's going to be 5 buildings. The first is finished. The second is going to be bid out in a month, I think so. They will start construction in September. And it's been observed by the GSA and NASA BIM champions. They try to look at it as one of the pilots they have. And this is the view within our application. We just populated it with the model. So what happened there is we got involved in the middle of the construction already. So the contract was already signed, so we couldn't change anything with it. So we had pretty good lessons learned about what worked, what didn't work. What worked well is the GC, which was Whiting Turner, and Cooper Carey, who was architect. They were both on board in trying new things, and they created a pretty good BIM model. And they tied documents to individual major assets like major mechanical equipment. So that was good. What we observed as maybe something we can improve on the second project is that the BIM was not continuously updated, so there was not the field data collection being tracked off of BIM. For example, here's the sample. We used an Excel file for getting the serial numbers and tag numbers for the fan power boxes, and we learned that they are Kruger KUFS model, and in the model at that time it was tied as the LHK, and it took me not a lot of time, but still took me time to figure out what is what and what is located, and we didn't know exactly whether the GC provided all of the right equipment or if there are maybe a couple of fan power boxes still left or whatever. So we were trying to convince the owners that the next project they are continuously updating the model, and I think the new NASA design build contract that they issued in December at Ames Center, it actually, I think, requires the continuous update of the model. Again, contractual language was not detailed, so the GCs and architects didn't know exactly what they want, and so we are trying to specify much more in the new contract, so it will be narrowing down the potential delta, of unknowns. The COBie was definitely used a few times to see what equipment they want to track versus don't want to track. We looked at what is available, what is not. So, but this model still going to be cleaned a little bit if we're going to use it for FM. The other case study is about this Texas A&M project that we've covered a few times. This was the first largest project. It it consisted of 2 buildings plus central utility plant plus the construction site. We worked with Brothers and Associates, which was the owner's rep, and they were in charge of collecting the data in the EcoDomus application. Status of contiguous was GC, and so Brothers collected all the data, even though it was not BIM-driven project. They still collected all of the data for it, for COBie. Most of the data, obviously. We didn't have, as I said, we didn't have BIM, so all of the attributes of the individual objects were not, extended attributes were not collected, but all of the major attributes, model numbers, serial numbers, systems, they were all created so beautifully that A&M now tries to do it on all of their projects, the COBie thing. So the benefits were that it was a collaborative environment. This was the web-based data collection. It all resided in one system. Everybody could see what the data is and what the issues are. We tried to use data quality control reports, try to see what is missing. Sometimes we use the Excel files to batch update information, because subs, even if you tell them, no, it's not BIM, it's not even just web application, they still kind of not fully embracing even web applications. So we were thinking about, and trying to just give them an Excel file so they can populate it with serial numbers, and we would batch update that info. We can definitely still improve the process if it would be based on the BIM. And the GCs AEs, we noticed that sometimes they say, well, we want to help, but we don't have any resources available, so if you can outsource the whole thing, that would be better for us, because we would focus only on the construction. So there was no pressure, that much pressure on them. So they definitely, most of the, all of the data was done by Brothers data collection. And so the client was very happy, so that's the most important part about it. So how to proceed and what you can do? Well, first of all, it's not only for the new construction. We hear more and more recently about this interest to do that for the existing buildings. It's cheaper, obviously, and less expensive to do this on the new construction. So go ahead, select a pilot if you're an owner. If you're a GC, prepare for the future by also doing a pilot. Just convince your owner that you need that. We are obviously have the most experience in the industry to do that. We have the best tools to collect the data and integrate that. And the only way you will be able to do that is by doing it. It's like riding a bike. You cannot read about it. You just need to get on the bike and do that. So as I said, a few GCs, a few architects, a few owners already do that. So it's not something like out of the sky. It's something that's been done for years. Different owners and different GCs are at different stage of adoption of this process. So you can catch up quickly, or you can even bypass them, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So that's the end of my PowerPoint, and here's my contact information, and hopefully we have some questions. Nicole, do we have any questions?
Yes. Thank you, Igor. We have a couple of questions. If anyone else has questions or wants any clarification, please use your questions tab on the control panel now to send those in. First question, where do you store important documents that might be scanned from paper or uploaded from other places? An electronic document management system or something else?
If it's a new construction project, and let's say you just received the new equipment and you got the brochure downloaded from the website, or just scanned the paper that came with the piece of equipment, we suggest not to wait for it and just load it in EcoDomus and tie it to the specific object you selected. This is the, let's say, submittal for this fan power box. After you want to attach it, that stays there. If you are, let's say, converting existing buildings, and you already have all of those documents in some document management system, there are packages like Meridian Document Management and Documentum and some others. In this case, we will integrate that so you can tie your existing documents to the assets that you already have. If you already have that tag between, let's say at USC they use Meridian and they use Famous. And from what I remember, they have the tie between Famous assets and the Meridian documents. So it's easier for us already to, depends on the individual situation. But it all can be tied, whether it's in new documents or existing documents.
Okay, thank you, Igor. I'm getting a few more requests here. For those of you who didn't hear the opening remarks, we are recording this, and we will make copies available at fiatech.org. Give us a few days to package it and post it, but we will have a recording up at fiatech.org. Next question, what is your view on the long-term usability and maintainability of BIM data sets based on certain technology and software tools? Technology, operating systems, and tools change, appear, disappear. Incompatibility happens on updates. Staff with appropriate technical software knowledge disappears. Sometimes a system needs to be updated to the actual IT system without affecting functionality. For example, company standard operating system changes from DOS to Win 7 in 30 years. Do you think a BIM system can live for the whole lifespan of a building, which might easily be 50+ years?
Well, there's such a thing called IFC, Industry Foundation Classes. It's the simplified format. Almost all of the BIM packages can export into IFC. There is some tweaking required to get the data in a clean way, but it's doable. And so if your primary goal is to ensure that the files and the information that you have stays, whether Autodesk still have Revit or they decide to build a new package or Graphisoft is now #1, or whoever, it doesn't matter. All of the IFC data will still be with you 10 years from now, the same way it was with you 15 years from now. So that's the simplest way to ensure that there are going to be some inherited value in there. But again, it's not one button click that gets you all of that information properly. Those of you who have dealt with IFCs know that some data is lost if you are not properly doing this, but it's doable. We kind of support both native file formats for the short-term gains, like RVT files for Revit, and we support the IFC for the long-term archival kind of purpose. There may be some loss of fidelity if you do the IFCs, but since recently, hopefully Autodesk released their new 2012 IFC converters, which are going to be probably better, then I think this issue is going to be going away. And ArchiCAD and Bentley, they're already pretty strong on IFC support, so I think it's a matter of a couple of years until it's completely clear how the downstream applications are going to be kind of benefiting from using IFCs. The other question was related to how to maintain the BIM models. One of the issues that often pops up is what is the BIM model in your understanding? Because some people say, well, here's your BIM model. It's a Navisworks file, and plus, in addition to that, here's your bunch of CAD files, CAD.CAD, QuickPen, East Coast CAD, etc. And the owner says, hey, wait a minute, how do I deal with those CAD files? And they say, oh, we don't know because that's our fabricators gave us, so this is your as-built. And some owners say, no, it's not. My as-built should be in the native file of the original design, updated based on your field conditions. So please give me all of that in Revit or give me that in Bentley, even though you guys use for fabrication your specific software. And we like that idea, actually, to be honest, of updating the original standard file, because owners, let's admit it, they're not going to buy 27 different CAD packages. They will buy probably one, whether Bentley or Revit or something else. So that's what we think is use one native file plus IFC. That's my recommendation.
Thanks, Igor. How do you integrate with GIS, and what is the practicality of this?
Practicality, we see, and that's it's a good question. There's actually a BIM GIS group that John Przybilla is managing, and there are some use cases where we see that the benefit could be, first of all, some big owners are using GIS for the total space management and move optimization. For example, NASA LARC developed a beautiful system that is optimizing the GIS. Using GIS as a module, they are optimizing the move management, location of the employees within the campus. And obviously having the spaces from the BIM could help that a lot, especially the configuration of the spaces within the BIM. Another use I also mentioned today is finding shortest distance. There's some analytics in GIS that can be used. Maybe not everything, but there are some strong functionalities in GIS and can be used life cycle across other applications.
Thanks, Igor. Does this technology work in the plant process industry as well?
We have not tested it in the plant industry because there are some uniqueness there. Some basic stuff like, for example, inspections of items, attaching documents to the valves and pipes and pumps. It can be done. We have not explored it too deep besides what I just mentioned.
Have you seen interesting examples of data captured downstream through the supply chain? For example, VAV box manufacturers providing data sets with model numbers, serial numbers, and if so, how were they transferred and or incorporated in the process? In the beautiful future, obviously it's all going to be digitized and web service based, and you can just type in the model number and it will bring you all of the opportunities and all of the actual information. It's how we deal with it right now. We are trying to find the sources of data where we can collect the electronic information from the manufacturers, and sometimes it's the RFA, Revit files, sometimes it's the XML files some of the owners place. Right now it's disorganized. There is an initiative called SPIE, or SPI for short, that is also managed by Building Smart Alliance, that is working with multiple associations of manufacturers to standardize the way how the manufacturers will provide their data. So it's supposed to be kind of vendor neutral data set, like something like COBie. So it's not going to cost the owners as much to produce the new families like right now they do. If they have to issue a family of objects for Revit 2011, they need to hire some BIM consultant to produce the family. With SPIE, they just need to publish it in a simple Excel file, and everybody can download it. So SPIE is something that I believe is going to change the way how manufacturers provide the data to the industry. How do as-built, in-wall, rough-in photos integrate into EcoDomus?
Since every panel, the wall panel, is an object, you can just take your behind-the-wall photos or in-wall utility photos and just attach it as an object to your wall. And so when you walk into the room, you click on the wall and you will see what is behind it. And the same is with the floor or ceiling. You can attach your above the ceiling or below the floor images, so you don't have to dismantle all of the tiles to see what is behind it.
For EcoDomus workflow, who would you suggest be responsible for updating the Revit design files to as-built?
We've seen approaches. It depends on the team who is most experienced. On USC, it was the architects or urban design group who was updating the as-built based on the submittals and as-built shop drawings. On some other projects with the GC, we have some strong partners like Bond Brothers in Massachusetts and Skanska, and as I mentioned, Whiting Turner and Balfour Beatty. All of those guys can do this kind of work themselves. So, as I said, it depends on the team combination who feels it better. Sometimes it's the owner may hire a third party to do this independently from the GC and AE.
What are EcoDomus's IT tools that they use, such as SQL databases, Java apps, etc., to provide lifecycle integrations such as BIM, GIS, facilities management?
I may have done that presentation because everything I was talking today was the EcoDomus software. So it's actual software. It's developed by us, and it's based on the SQL backend with the web interface and the desktop interface. Yeah, I need to probably improve my PowerPoint because it was not clear that we have, this is the software package. And the software package is used to integrate the other applications. So yeah, EcoDomus software is the package that is being used to integrate all of that stuff. We are not a service provider, we are a software company. So if visualization, maybe you're asking, visualization is done by Navisworks, so it's in here. What you see in the middle of it is the Navisworks, but it's kind of embedded into our software, and everything, all of the values that you see here, they are stored in our SQL database.
Okay, and I think final question is actually about cost of the software, but I'm going to suggest that those folks that want information contact Igor directly, and if you can flip to your last slide real quickly, people can get your email address, igor@ecodomus.com, and that is the conclusion of the questions. So I want to thank you very much for presenting today, Igor, and congratulations on the SETI Award. You're doing great work. And another just last reminder, we are recording this, and we will have a copy if you want to share it with a colleague or download it at a later date at viatech.org in the next few days.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you for attending this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.